Pickle, let's go to the hotline, and let's welcome in the head coach of the state-ranked, undefeated Bushland Falcons up there in Potter County. We're joined by Coach Josh Reynolds. Coach, how are you?
Good. How are you doing today?
I'm excellent. How are things in beautiful, windy Bushland, Texas?
Oh, it's actually a pretty nice day today. The wind's, knock on wood, has been pretty low, so just a nice day up in the Panhandle.
I was going to say because we got word. Matt Stepp told me he goes. I got to be honest. I think Bushland might be the windiest place in Texas. Can you vouch for this?
There's a good chance for sure. Whatever, out here, there's nothing really stop the wind. So whatever is blowing in Amarillo, you can add about another 5 miles an hour to it. So unfortunately, it probably ranks up there as one of the windiest places around.
Well, regardless of what the weather's been doing, it hasn't slowed you guys down. You guys are off to a 5-0 start, a torrid pace. And what I want to do is I want to go back to the game in week 2 when you guys took on Canadian. And there's a Canadian program that at this point needs no introduction, but you guys are a program that has had some pretty decent success against this Canadian team. And you guys go out there and you, in many ways, dominate them. Did that feel like an early turning point for your ball club whenever you were able to go and play such a good team like that?
I think, anytime that you play a good team, especially a great team and great program like Canadian, you're always going to be tested. And, that was the second week of the season. And we felt like we, had a chance to have a pretty good team. And, the way we were able to come out and play and execute and kind of get after it that game against Canadian, I think, made us realize, hey, we have a chance. There's a lot of teams that have a chance, but we just got to keep on improving. But, yeah, I mean, you're right. I think we did some good things in that game. Canadian, probably did some things that are uncharacteristic of, Canadian teams. Some things went our way. The ball bounced our way a few times. So, but I think it gave us confidence, moving forward that, hey, if we keep working hard and trying to get better each week, we have a chance to be pretty good.
And then, of course, last week, you guys go on the road and take on a different challenge. And going on the road to a team that's larger, a 4A team, and Dumas, and a team that, in many respects, like that's a tough place to play. It's not only a tough road trip for you guys, about an hour north, but also it's a tough place to play. What did you learn about your ball club last week with that win over Dumas?
Well, I thought, we really were real physical on the lines, offensive and defensive lines. I think if you know anything about Dumas, and what they've done, and Coach Dunham, they've done such a good job of instilling that in their program as, just being, playing with physicality that, they're going to be more physical than everybody they play on Friday nights. And that's what we want to do as well. And, at least last Friday, I felt like we were the more physical football team. So, I to answer your question, I think we learned that we can play different styles of football, and that's to me, that's what it takes, throughout the course of a season is you're going to play different ball clubs. You're going to play teams that do different things. Number one, you got to worry about yourself. And that's what we're trying to do is, not so much our opponent. We're trying to just improve ourselves and find ways to win different types of ball games, whether that's a low-scoring game or high-scoring game, maybe more of a finesse spread type game, or maybe one that you got to be more physical and, get down in the trenches. I felt like our offensive and defensive lines really stepped up and played well last week.
Talking with Josh Reynolds, the head coach of the Bushland Falcons here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, #TF Today. Coach, it's hard not to notice what your junior quarterback, Dawson Jaco, is doing. And this is a guy who had never started a game coming into this year. I mean, he's basically, in many respects, he's probably more known as a baseball star up there in Bushland. But here he stepped into this role, into an offense that, certainly correct me if I'm wrong, but asks a lot of their quarterback.
Yeah.
I have to imagine that, I'll leave it to you. What he's done so far, has it surprised even you?
No, I think, we knew, we thought Dawson was going to be pretty special, just through the years watching them play quarterback, not just quarterback, but playing. He's a multi-sport athlete. And, he's just always had this, composure to him, that little I guess, that a coach is looking for where, not only is he a great player in everything he does, but he's a competitor. He's somebody that I think the kids look up to as far as just being able to, step in any situation, in any sport and lead, lead by example, lead his teammates, make them better. So, yeah, Dawson's done a great job for us. And I think, we just felt like, if he could step up, which we thought he could, he's got great players around him too. And he'd be the first to tell you that. He's got some good offensive weapons, and the offensive line is playing really well. So, he's done a good job of, not only leading our offense, but leading our team.
The other thing on the other side of the ball is you take a look at the way that your defense is playing. This is a defense giving up just 12 points a game, and that's not to say, they played some high-powered offenses, and they've held them in check. What is it about the defense right now that has you guys clicking so well?
We're just so aggressive, I think you watch us play, live or, on film. Our defense is just we play really fast, faster than what we look in the spring sometimes on the track. But, when we get out there on Friday nights, I feel like our coaches have really done a good job of having our kids step out there with a clear mind. And, we know exactly what to do. And that's part of, only part of the equation is knowing what to do and then doing it as fast and physical as possible. And I think our kids are being real physical, and we're just attacking on the defensive side.
I want to ask you a little bit about your schedule, because you guys are in the interesting situation where you have the Week 11 open date. So 10 straight games and then a week off before, hopefully a playoff run, right?
Right.
How do you approach that? How do you go about kind of and I'm sure it's tougher on the coaches than it is for the players, because players just want to get out there and play. But how does that change things for you, knowing that you're not going to get a week off until you're getting right into the playoffs, but then that might be the time you need the week off the most?
Right. Well, unfortunately, we have some experience with it, because this is our third year in a row to have this, and next year will be 4 years in a row. So the last two realignments, the last time I blamed it on my defense coordinator, because he's the one that drew from the hat at realignment day, and so I got to blame it on him. Then this past realignment, I drew it, and I pulled the last bye, so I can't blame it on anybody else now at this point. But yeah, it's not ideal, in my opinion. I think we'd like to have that bye either going into district or sometime during district. But to answer your question, I think I think we have to be intelligent as coaches, and understand where our kids are. Both mentally and physically. You're going to have injuries. You're going to have nagging injuries. You're going to have bumps and bruises throughout the course of the season, and we don't have the benefit of having that healing up week, right before district or during district. So, we have to, if we need to call upon some JV kids to come up, for a week or two or whatever, we've done that a little bit already. We as far as practice goes, I think we have to be smart about how we practice, maybe limit some of the full contact that we have, and just treat our kids. We got to get to Friday nights. We have to know what we're doing. The bottom line is we got to get to Friday night healthy as we can be. So I think that's mostly up to coaches, to be honest with you, just to kind of know and understand where our kids are at, and make sure that we get to Friday night healthy as possible.
Well, speaking of Friday night, this Friday night, you guys get some out-of-towners into Bushland as the unbeaten El Paso Riverside Rangers come calling. And this is obviously a unique matchup. It's one of only 6 matchups of unbeaten teams in UIL this week. And it's one of those matchups that I imagine comes about because you're both in 5-team districts, and Week 6 non-district games are kind of hard to come by. But you guys are certainly going to get a challenge tomorrow night against a good Riverside Rangers squad. I'm interested. I don't want to ask you to give away your game plan, but when you take a look at what you're going to be up against on Friday night at Falcon Stadium, what do you see?
Sure, yeah, they're a really good football team. I mean, obviously they're sitting at 5-0 like we are. It doesn't take long. You turn on the film to watch. First thing that stands out is their quarterback. Really good athlete. He's got a good arm, but he's very athletic, fast, makes guys miss, and he does a little bit of everything. He plays quarterback. They'll even put him at receiver a little bit. Kick returner, punt returner. He punts as well. We've only seen them have 3 punts on the films we have, so they're pretty good offensively. So, I think you got to look at him and the running back. There's kind of the guys that, they lean on, and they're both good. And then you look at their lines. They have some big kids in the line, that, are physical and move people around. So, they're 5-0 for a reason. They're a really good football team, be a good challenge for us. Like you said, a 4A D1 school coming in. it'll be a good football game, I think.
He's Josh Reynolds. He's the head coach of the unbeaten Bushland Falcons, welcoming in El Paso Riverside tomorrow night at Falcon Stadium. Coach, we sure appreciate your time. Congratulations again on the fantastic start, and best of luck tomorrow night and down the road.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. There he goes, Josh Reynolds, head coach of the Bushland Falcons. Join us here on Texas Football Today. Big matchup there, and I think he's right. Like there's certainly some people who would say, it's a team from El Paso. Mm-hmm. I'm glad he's not overlooking them because this is a good Riverside ball club.
Yeah, I like that he said that the moment you turn on the film, you can see that. Because I think that if you might still think that a little bit if it didn't jump right out to you, but the fact that you notice it instantly, it's like, oh, wow, okay, hang on.
This team's legit.
What is this?
Riverside's legit and a team to keep an eye on out there in 4A. But Bushland has been, I think, again, I go back to last week against the two wins for the Canadian win and then the
Dumas one was
it
for me.
On the road to a bigger school and to really play bully ball with them and kind of beat them soundly. Awfully impressive. And if Region 1 of 3A Division 1 is opening up, because if Brock is vulnerable, right? Bushland is certainly a team that can take advantage of that. So.
I believe, too, what did Step say that Riverside is making the 8-hour trip today and then staying the night for the game tomorrow?
Which is probably smart.
Oh, yeah.
But
that's a long time on a bus to get out and then try and go run. You'd have bad knees.
I hope they're cutting across New Mexico. I appreciate the idea of trying to stay within the borders. Yes, of course, but it's the straight line. Just go straight.
Just
to New
go.
Mexico, guys.